Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm super excited because today we have Coreyne Woodman-Holoubek with us, another sister with a hyphenated name. Welcome, Coreyne.
Hi, thanks, Tina.
Yeah, it's so good to have you on. I'm going to quick read your bio, and then I want to get into a juicy conversation with you about lots of good things. So, Coreyne Woodman-Holoubek is an HR executive with over 17 years of global business and human resource leadership expertise, cultivated in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Spain. She is the creator of the top-rated and wildly successful progressive HR blog for InBusiness Magazine, and the president and founder of Disrupt Madison and Disrupt Milwaukee. Coreyne is passionate about emerging HR technology and is a sought-after writer and media for HR Tech and Future of Work conferences across the globe. She shares her unique perspectives on disruption and digital transformation. None of that going on right now.
No, not at all.
On international podcasts such as HR and L&D Podcast in the UK, and is planning on an episode for the Pitch podcast in India. Coreyne loves improv comedy, making homemade pizza, and being a mom to her two very precious daughters, whom I just met, who are amazing. So welcome, Coreyne. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me, Tina. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on because you have such a rich background and all the stuff that you're doing in the community and stuff like that. So why don't you give the listeners a little bit of a background about who you are?
So I started in business and Spanish at the University of Arizona. And as I went on in my sophomore year, I decided, well, I like Spanish a little bit more than business. So I'll just kind of flip that around and major in Spanish and minor in business. And then I got into business calculus and I was like, I'm done with business.
Yeah, I would definitely be there as well.
So I became a complete Spanish major. Then I transferred to UW-Madison and worked with Spanish linguistics. I went to Mexico for about 6 weeks to learn a lot more about Spanish linguistics and different linguistical idioms in Mexico. Then I decided I wanted to study abroad, and I went with the University of Wisconsin-Madison broad program to Seville, Spain. And of course, to learn the Sevillana accent. Came back, graduated, and I said, well, what am I going to do with Spanish linguistics? Originally, I wanted to work for the UN, being a translator, but at that time, I just felt that wasn't the right path for me. So I took a really hard left and decided to move to the UK with my then fiance, and started again back in business. So this time I wanted to do international business with Spanish and Italian and European languages. Through that course, I found that I really had a huge interest in human resources. And it wasn't that I wanted to hire and fire people. I didn't want to be the police. I wanted to be somebody who was guiding human potential. And that's where my interest came from. I decided I wanted to do my master's and did my thesis on accelerated learning and development with human potential. And I did my master's and at the same time worked as a learning and development advisor for Wrigley's UK and Europe, Middle East, Asia, and India. So at that time, Wrigley's was really taking off on their 360-degree feedback program, their performance management. This is back in I would say the early 2000s when performance management was at its trendy height.
Trendy height, I love that.
And 360-degree feedback was all the rage. And so I had spearheaded both of those programs for Wrigley's. Fast forward a year and I came back to the US. I unfortunately lost my visa. A lot of the fallout from 9/11 was happening, and Wrigley's just could no longer afford to keep me current with my visa. Came back to the US and I found it was a huge shock because all the human resources jobs that I applied for wanted me to type policy, wanted me to solely hire people, set up the interviews, disciplinary, really things that I didn't go into human resources for. I eventually found my way to becoming a recruiting specialist. I love recruiting. Again, it's looking at that human potential, that performance, talking to somebody and saying, not only are you right for the job right now, but you're also right for the job, in the future with the development and the growth. Oh, my video popped up. I'll pop it right back on. Then worked my way, human resource generalist, human resources manager, director of human resources for the regional Emmy Roth case, which was a cheese company in Monroe. I was across Wisconsin, New York, and California with their manufacturing facilities. I decided that I was very happy there, and all of a sudden my boss quit and a new director or new vice president came on, and I wasn't so, they say that people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. And
yes, they do.
That's what happened to me. Is I quit the then manager that came on, VP. I was director, she was VP. And at the same time, I was having my first child, and my husband was expanding his business, Contracted Leadership, and he needed someone in human resources. So I joined him, and we have grown Contracted Leadership to multinational, international, actually. And through that, I was working with a client, and she had never been to a human resource conference. And so I said, okay, let's go. Let's see. I'll take you there. You can meet people. It's one of those things that I didn't necessarily do all the time. And I said, I went to a session where Lori Rudiman was talking, and she introduced me to Jennifer McClure, who is the CEO for the Disrupt licensing. And I said, wow, this is great. You go to an event and you listen to talks that are 5 minutes, that slides rotate at 15 seconds, and you only get 20 slides, and then that's all you have to listen to. Like, you get this really great chunk of 5 minutes of a topic, and then you move on to another topic, as opposed to sitting at a conference for a day long, for an hour, sometimes writing notes and then going back and saying, why did I take these notes? These aren't even relevant to me anymore.
I've never used notes, and I came back from a conference.
Somewhere you can network and be entertained and have fun, and also meet the speakers after having them be on stage. All in this tight little package that Disrupt Madison, Disrupt Milwaukee was founded. We're going into our 5th year. We're having our 5th year anniversary this year. Great milestone for us. But we can talk more about that later. And then while I was putting together Disrupt Madison, Disrupt Milwaukee, I was wow, here's really my opportunity to break that stereotype of human resources. I don't feel that there's just human resources and they're siloed. I believe that we're all human. We're all resources. We're all resourceful humans. And so HR is for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And it makes so much sense when you kind of go through it like that, why you were so passionate about founding Disrupt Madison and Milwaukee, right? Because from what I heard you say, like there was this old school kind of mentality in HR, and there's so much more to it. And so talk to us about, like, when you started that Disrupt Madison and Milwaukee, what was how did that go? What were some of the things that you faced? What was really great about it? What were some of the things that you worked on after you first started it?
Laura Jemiter and I worked together on the first, I would say, handful of Disrupt Madison, Disrupt Milwaukee. And we really did a lot of curating speakers on what you would call more softer topics or softer impact topics, more motivational topics. And as we started going into our 3rd year, Laura decided that she was going to take a different path in coaching, and that I would carry on with the human resources, because I really wanted to make it about the digital transformation that everyone was going through.
Right.
So we started 2 years ago with themes. So we started theming each of the events in a program, and then all the speakers had to have the 5-minute talks in pertaining to the theme. And so let's say last year's theme was being human-centric in an era of digital transformation.
Love it.
So all the topics had to be about being human-centric plus technology.
Yeah. So, okay. So that brings us to where we're at today, right? Digital
Yes.
transformation has been something that's been in the workplace for a while now, right? Like we hear about the future of work, we hear about AI, we hear about robotics, all of that. And I think that from a business perspective, we were like really bracing for that, right? Like you see a lot of companies, a lot of businesses putting measures in place, really starting to go towards that digital transformation and really getting in place for it. And then the virus, right? Now we have this pandemic on top of all that. So from a disruption perspective, talk to us about that. Like, how do you, I love it what we did last year, right? Digital transformation is getting right into where we're at in our current situation. So how did that set you up for what we've got going on right now?
So you did cut out a little bit there, but I'll try to answer the question what I did here. So unless you wanted to repeat.
Nope.
Okay.
It's really just about like, how did that conference last year lead you into setting you up for what's happening right now in the world?
So last year's conference, again, as I said, is all about technology and digital transformation. And then what I realized is I saw this trend happening where we're going into the year 2020, and it was less about the technology itself and more about the people.
Right.
So this year's theme for 2020 is the next decade of transformation, people matter. Mm-hmm. And we started putting together our 5th anniversary celebration with this theme, and then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. But what theme could be better than that theme? Because the biggest thing about COVID is that it's showing that people really, really, really do matter. What's going on in our lives really do matter. People aspect right now, and it's about the technology in a sense of like, we all need the technology to do our work, to be connected, but to really be connected, we need to be human, and part of being human is those impact skills, those people skills, and connecting, and really showing that who the person I'm talking to matters, not just on a material level, but really below. Like one of the tips, I have a blog coming out this week or next week in business, where some of the Disrupt Madison, Milwaukee speakers, because we've all been disrupted. Everybody. All of a sudden, everybody, they had speaking conferences set up, their livelihoods were set up, and all of a sudden it just ended in a week, short week. Yeah. Yep. And I said, how can we take this collective energy? Because I do yoga a lot, and we talk about this collective energy. You're not just one person, you're a room full of energy. And how do you take this collective energy as people, because that's our gift as humans, to ignite a flame, ignite a movement? And I said, okay, I would like to get your tips. I would like to get like what you're thinking about right now. Yeah. And so this blog is coming out this week sometime in InBusiness Magazine, all about a collective energy, is like how COVID created this. Yes, it's not the greatest thing in the world to happen to us, but how COVID created this collective energy of connectedness and empathy and compassion, and for bettering ourselves.
Yeah, there's this whole conversation around the virus didn't happen to us, it's happening for us. And so, I think that some people will look at that and like, roll their eyes. But if you really think about it, the world was on this, fast pace moving forward. And this just really allows us to slow down, take a breath, and just really realize, like you said, that people do matter. Where I want to go next with you is I want to talk about connection in a remote world. I put together an online class last night, and we talked a lot about that, about connection. So can you and I be just as connected like we are right now on a Zoom call as we can in person? That's my question. What's your whole thought process around connection in a digital world?
Part of me feels that we are connected more than we were before, because as you mentioned, is like things have slowed down.
Yeah.
Right. I'm completely focused on you. You're completely focused on me. And I've also opened my world to you. I've opened my messy office. I've opened
your daughters
to my daughters.
Yeah.
So instinctually, you now have a bond to me. So as humans, that's how we create our bonds. We share what we are. Now, I know that some people have a hard time with that, and some people are a bit more private. So that won't maybe necessarily be the best for them. But then at the same sense is like they start opening up a little bit more. And we as people start having more compassion for the compassion and empathy. And that also is a way for connection, is understanding somebody's purpose, understanding somebody's why, understanding somebody as not just the person they see at work all the time, but understanding them as a whole.
Yeah. And it's what's so interesting, because I talk a lot about masks, right? Like my whole story and where I came from, like I had a bazillion masks on all the time, right? Because when you step into work or whatever that looks like, and you got to be put together and all of it, right? And so what I love about where we're at right now is it's letting people be authentic. It's letting people just be real and who they are. And I think one of the greatest things that's going to come out of this on the tail end of it, when we're said and done and we're through it and we're back eyeball to eyeball again, is that we're going to feel maybe like we can be more real, right? Like, why is it bad that your daughters are right there like that? But in the past, like that hasn't been acceptable. It hasn't been socially acceptable. And I think especially for females, as we move into the future, there's just this great opportunity to just let go of the masks. Like we get to be exactly who we are. Right.
Yes, and we can feel comfortable with it. We can break those stigmas too.
Yeah, so, exactly. So as you work with clients, as you work with people since the pandemic started, what are you seeing as the biggest need right now?
Creation of content that connects their customers, that connects their potential customers, that connects their employees to them. But it's a huge pivot because we're all used to very much doing events, in-person events were our bread and butter. And with Disrupt Madison, Disrupt Milwaukee, we're still going to be doing in-person events. We had to move, it was great because our 5th anniversary was on 5/5 of 2020 at 5 p.m.
Aww.
So it really felt like the stars were aligning.
It's funny. I know that we did a retreat in February on 2/20/2020, and we're like, no, we're not moving that date. It's staying on that date. But yeah, I mean, it's just that we're all reinventing, right? So do you see Disrupt Milwaukee or Madison going virtual this year?
I don't see the conferences themselves going virtual, but I do see that the interaction leading up to them going virtual. So, this is a prime example. So
exactly.
Normally we do some pitches. We do send out a press release. We'd have blogs, do some pitches. But this is now the new normal.
It's our new normal, right? The new normal.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So so somebody calls you, and I love how you talk about human potential. So before I even go to that question, talk to us a little bit. You mentioned human potential. Talk to us about what human potential is and what it looks like.
So we're all very unique as humans. A lot of my TED talk was on human potential and being the best human you can be. And it looks at how we have a world of over 8 billion, almost 9 billion people. And we look and we compare ourselves to other people, women, especially with imposter syndrome, but everybody's comparing themselves to somebody. They're saying, oh, I really want to do what this person is doing, but I can't because this person is doing it better.
Right.
I'm not good enough to do this. This person tells me that I'm not the type of person to take this on, so I can't do it. And what I really want to change is our human potential dialogue. So we are 9% unique individuals. So there's 9% difference between each person, cognitively, physically, perspectives, background. What is that 9% that makes you unique? And use that to your advantage. As much as you compare yourself to somebody else, you are nothing like them. So they do it their way, you do it your way. Yeah. You could be doing the exact same things and it would be different because you are a different person than that person.
Yeah.
And that's human potential.
So what holds people back from doing that?
Well, in the TEDx talk, I talk about what holds people back is judgment. We judge ourselves and we judge other people. When we start practicing no judgment, it really is a game changer. I'm helping my family right now stock shelves at the family store. And it also kind of keeps me resilient too. And I was in the store yesterday stocking shelves, and one of the women that was with me said, "Oh my God, there's a woman in here with her infant." And I look at her and I said, "Well, yeah, but you don't know what her circumstance is. You're judging her, you're shaming her, for bringing her infant in, but you don't know what her circumstance." And she looked at me and she's like, "You're right, I don't." And I said, "You know what? Rather than complaining, rather than standing here and judging her, why don't you be part of the solution and ask her if you can take her grocery list, divide it in half, and help her find those groceries so she can get out of the store quickly with her infant."
Right.
And she's like, "Wow, you really made me look at that." And I said, "Okay, that's what practicing no judgment." And it doesn't just happen overnight, but it's a long process. I'm still practicing no judgment.
Oh yeah, I honestly think like part of human nature, right? Like it's part of human nature, and because I've been practicing that for a long time too, and it's super freeing as well, right? Because there's a lot of energy that we hang on to when I don't feel like I'm enough, when I don't feel like I'm good enough, when I feel like somebody else is better than me or doing a better job and I'm beating myself up. There's a lot of energy that goes into that, right? And so when you can just kind of let that go and be you and not judge, it's so freeing and so much lighter.
Yes, and then that's part of comparison too, is judgment is part of comparison.
Yeah.
So society also teaches us to judge.
Oh my gosh, it's so much programming. Yeah. I mean, so much programming. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So what is your message, Coreyne, right now to people in these times right now? If somebody's listening right now and they're like, I hear you guys and I'm just not buying it. What's your message?
So I have lots of messages. I would say that we look at your situation right now and look at how you can use your human potential. What is your expertise? What do you really want to do? What is your dream? And spend that time to focus on that. Also spend your time to look at how you can upskill or reskill. Right. I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn Learning because I select a class and it says, okay, what do you want your learning weekly goal to be? And I'm like, 15 minutes. Like I'll spend 15 minutes on LinkedIn Learning. Yeah. So it'll remind me. It'll say, okay, you're 10 minutes 5 minutes to your LinkedIn Learning goal for this week. I think the videos are great. I think one of the opportunities we have right now is to also look into the technologies that are out there for us.
Right, absolutely.
There's so many companies, bless them, that are offering free video chatting, free access to their software right now. Mm-hmm. Now is the time to get on and to just take that first step. Just show up to try something.
Yeah. Just really kind of getting into the lifelong learning mindset, right?
Learning and growth. And then also levity. So I have this wonderful friend that I've met through District Madison, Milwaukee. Her name is Angela Nino, and she's a certified forensic investigator. And she uses improv comedy and levity and her interviewing skills to create empathy and compassion. And she introduced me to this wonderful gentleman by the name of Pat Dwyer, and he's an organizational humorist.
Okay.
So if you're looking at what we need to do right now is remember humor and levity.
Yeah.
Remember that you can learn and grow through this. And remember that you can take this time to discover new things and self-reflect. Reflect upon what is it that you truly want. Where is it you want to go? And who do you want to bring along, or who do you want to include on your journey? And that's another reason why I love LinkedIn, is that I could just hop on and I can start a conversation with somebody in China if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I started a conversation with two very lovely people today from Essentia in Berlin, and talking about their self-actualization product. So and everybody is so open. And that's another thing that now is like, people are like, they have time to be open. They have time to take these conversations.
Right.
So,
Right. I love how you went into, so my next question for you was going to be, so what's the opportunity, right? In these times, like there's so much, it's all about opportunity. It's all about reinvention and opportunity. And so I love that you went there. Coreyne, when you think back over the last, and I'm not even going to keep it just in the pandemic, but even just the last couple of years, especially as you started really diving into human potential, what's been your biggest leadership lesson?
The biggest one is, you'll see all the hashtags on my LinkedIn posts, is hashtag resourceful humans. Because no matter who we are, we're all valuable. We are all resourceful. And that's what we have to keep in mind right now, is that we are human, we have human potential, and we are resourceful.
Yeah. And we can figure it out, it out, right? We get to be part of the solution. I think that like, it's crazy. I'm doing at least 15 of these interviews based on the virus, right? And the main theme through all of this is opportunity and what we get to like really move into as we go through this. And so what I want to leave this on with you is the name of the podcast is Your Leadership Legacy. And so when you think about leadership and you think about legacy, like what legacy is it that you aspire to leave, Coreyne?
That's an interesting question, because for me, it changes daily. I think today I want to leave, we were just talking about being resourceful humans. But I think that just being who you are, being your best human. Yep. And surrounding yourself with kind people, being authentic, and leading from there.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And that's, it's just so amazing. And I know that we probably said it in this podcast already, but like, I want to go back to it. This is the opportunity. Like now is the opportunity. If you, like for me, it took me 45 years to really kind of wake up to my own human potential, right? To wake up to like, oh, I'm a leader. I get to step into my leadership. And so for those that are listening to this that haven't done that, like now is the opportunity. Now is the time to really figure out what it is that you really want, so that when you come out of this, you have your plan in place, right? Like it's all put together. And so I think that choice is really the main common theme through all of these interviews, because we all have a choice in this moment. We all have a choice. I could spend all my time and energy being sad and depressed and everything else because whatever happened, right? Or I can say, no, you know what? This is my opportunity to really, really dig into who I am and who I want to be as we move out of this.
Yes, I completely agree. It's the time for self-reflection and dreams. I go back to that, is like, what is, so here's an interesting thing, is that by 2030, 85% of the jobs we're doing now won't even exist. The jobs will be completely different. So now is the time to reinvent, as you would say, or invent the job you want to do.
Yeah.
I always talk about, now's the time for reinvention of jobs, because we don't know what they're going to be. You could create your own job if you would like.
Yeah. Or even if you're working in a company or in a business, we're all retooling, we're all upskilling and up leveling. And so your ideas are important to bring forward. Like that's where the leadership aspect of it. Like if there's an idea for process improvement or better leadership or whatever that looks like, we get to use our voice, right? We get to really, really step into, again, being who we are and not being afraid to just use our voice and move forward. So.
Yeah. And COVID has created a number of new jobs already.
Yeah.
There was a vacancy out this morning for a new norm spokeswoman for companies. So can you imagine that? Like there is now a position for different organizations as
I want that job.
I know. I
want that job.
A friend of mine texted me and I was like, sign me up. Sign me up.
Exactly. That's awesome. Coreyne, we are nearing the end of it. And so where can people find you?
So I am on LinkedIn daily, except for weekends, because that's the time I spend with my family. So you can follow me at Coreyne Woodman-Holoubek. You can also follow the page of Disrupt Madison, page Disrupt Milwaukee, and Progressive HR blog. So awesome. That's where you can find me, on LinkedIn.
Awesome. All right, beautiful. Any last parting words or anything like that you want to leave the listeners with?
I would say that, just be the best person you can be the best human you can be, and believe in that. Believe you are unique, that you are valued, that you are special, and this is your time to shine.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I love your work. I love who you're about and what you're about and everything that you're doing in the community. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Tina, and thank you for having me on the Leadership Legacy. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, that's it. That wraps us up. Thank you for watching and staying tuned. We'll talk soon. We'll talk next time. Bye.
Thanks, Tina. Bye.
My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.